Hey, this is Pastor Bob, and I have a small steeple. Next on That's Not My God. Hey, it's been a long time, but thanks for joining me for another That's Not My God. So I'm standing here in front of my church, the church I pastor, and we're located in Wapaka, Wisconsin. It's central Wisconsin, as you can probably tell from my accent. Probably even the word Wisconsin, you can tell that I'm from northern Wisconsin here. But nonetheless, let me show you the size of my steeple. That's it. That's all there is. And it's actually not my steeple. This is the church that I pastor, and I just happened to be fortunate enough to help launch it back in 2005, and have been the pastor here since. But you know, I was at a conference 10 years ago. It was a conference called Isn't She Beautiful? And it was a talk about the local church. Now, this pastor, I'm not going to say his name because, well, how would I say it at the end of the podcast? Very controversial. Everybody loved him at one point, but that's neither here nor there. His comment was, when people walk into a large church, when pastors walk into a large church, they inevitably get to the point in the question saying, well, how many people do you have? And this author, pastor continued on saying, it's almost like people have steeple envy, saying, well, how big's your steeple? How big's your steeple? We're in rural Wisconsin here, 6,500 people in my city. I'm from Milwaukee, where 636,000 people. And so this little church that has about 80 or 90 people in it, it's rocking it. Now, let me show you a couple things interesting about this church. And my friend Pastor Bob Beeman, he's been here before. He's seen it inside and he's complimented on it. Let me show you something inside. Follow me. This is our cafe here. And as you can see, we have a little welcome center, just a little welcome cafe, kind of cool and everything. But inevitably what happens is people walk into this church and they see this inside. Now, you see everything that's going on here, the decoration, little old school church feeling. Then you come through and we redecorated it. We put the barn tin up and everything. But with the question I get all the time from American pastors from America when they come in to be a guest visitor, and it's usually one and done when they have this comment, is, when are you going to do a building project? They look at the size of the church, they look at this building, not much bigger than a ranch style home, and they say, when are you going to do a building project? Well, my answer is always, I don't think we're going to. We're in rural Wisconsin, we have 80 or 90 people, and we keep what we have nice. I mean, we do have our little soundboard system, and we have the computer over there, which we use to stream our service, and that's it. And that's really all we need in a small church, is just this sort of setup. We have our Wednesday night program and everything, but what gets me is that during these building programs, and I've seen quite a few of them, I was a part of one back in my former church, which I'm not proud of. It was a church that basically, 80 some people entering a $1.5 million mortgage. You do the math, not a good move. But nonetheless, here we are, and I say, no, we're not doing a building project. It's not worth it. And what's interesting, okay, statistically, the average stay of a pastor in a church is 2.5 years. Youth pastors, much less. But what's even more interesting is that after a building project, there are many pastors that will quit within 2 years after that project is being done. Many will quit during the project, either due to lack of funds, worn out, burnt out. Can you imagine building a church with a large group of people that all have different opinions? I can't. This little thing here, this update here with the barn tin and the Edison bulbs and everything, that cost us, man, I think about $500. That was our biggest building program that we've done in years in this little church, and we just keep it nice, and quaint. And my concern with building projects is that, number one, Jesus said he's going to build his church. Okay, we know that from Scripture. Now that's not talking a physical brick and mortar place, but the people of the church. He's going to build a church. The other thing that I'm concerned about is that when churches go into building projects over and over and over again, they have physical goals that they're meeting, okay? Who doesn't love to hit a goal with a group of people and celebrate? But what happens when that is over, when the goal is met and there's nothing else to do. It's people start blowing out. Oh, for about a year, they're like, yes, isn't this great? I grew up in Milwaukee where the Milwaukee Brewers built a brand new stadium years ago and, raised our taxes. And for the first year, sell out every game for the Brewers. I love my Brewers, but man, they're not worth a sellout every game. The next year fell flat on its face. It was just a sad thing to see. And, I think that's the same thing for churches, is that if they don't keep physical goals going, so they go into another capital campaign, another building program, then they start losing people, they start losing interest, and pastors resign, and people get a little antsy. But if you keep the ministry goal the main thing, you know what? You're always going to have something to shoot for. And so when people say, well, how big is your steeple? Well, it's kind of small, and we're okay with that. Going back to my conversation, American pastors, American leaders, they come in and guest speakers and say, when are you going to build? Why is that? Because when I have speakers that are here that are from Europe or overseas, they always say, this is a phenomenal setup you have. And so they get it. It's community, it's family. It feels like you're in someone's living room when you're here, and people here get it, and it's an enjoyable thing. Again, Jesus said, I will build my church. There is nothing I can add to this building. That whole setup up here, this whole new build, it didn't add anybody. The church can be actually quite enjoyable when you keep the main thing, and that's ministry, not building programs. It's okay to have a small steeple. Trust me, I know. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.